I was saying, honorable members, señoras y señores diputados, señor presidente.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Parliament, President.
Iranians' attack on Israel and the need for de-escalation and about our response to these events. Yes, on 13th of April, Iran's attack against Israel was unprecedented. It never happened before. It is the first time that Iran directly attacked Israel from its territory with hundreds of drones and missiles. All this without forgetting the Israeli attack that preceded it and that we also condemn when this happened. This aerial attack represents a major escalation of an already very tense situation in the region, where we have witnessed dangerous games of attacks and retaliations and attacks. And I want to use the same words that the United Nations Secretary General Guterres used at the Security Council. He said, "The region is at the edge of an abyss." Yes, estamos al borde de un abismo, dijo el secretario general. No son palabras huecas.
These are not empty words. Undoubtedly, this continuous interaction of a war nature will lead the region, and all of us actually, to an extremely dangerous situation. Now it appears that we've moved a little bit towards the abyss, the edge of that abyss. And we have explosions in Isfahan, in Iran, but neither of the two sides, neither Israel nor Iran, have used these particular explosions as a kind of springboard for escalation. There is the possibility of discussion, and our issue is to draw attention to the situation right now so this escalation doesn't continue and doesn't turn into further risk. It is an extremely volatile situation in the northern borders of Israel, with the situation with Hezbollah, where we've seen Lebanon once again embroiled in an extremely fragile situation. And the United Nations have clearly said that any mistake made by either of the parts may lead to a terrible conflict, further conflict. And the exchange of fire on the Lebanese borders has led to a situation which we haven't seen since 2006. The 27 leaders of the European Union, and we too, at the level of the Commission, we have sent out a strong message calling for peace. And in English now.
We have taken a strong stance asking all actors in the region to move away from this abysm that the Secretary General was mentioning. We discussed it at the foreign ministers level on Monday. We all clearly condemned the Iranian attack and confirmed our commitment to the security of Israel. There is a political consensus to expand the existing sanctions against Iran. The foreign affairs ministers, in a jumbo meeting together with the defense ministers, took a political agreement that will be implemented on the next days in order to use the sanctions regime that we already have, because from time to time people ask for something that we already have. We have a sanctions regime against Iran for providing drones to Russia. Well, this sanctions regime can now be used to sanction the production and potential transfer of missiles from Iran to Russia. I'm saying the potential transfer, but also the production itself, and also to target Iranian delivery of such weapons in the Middle East and the Red Sea region. You know what I'm talking about. In the Red Sea region, we have a Navy mission to try to protect the freedom of navigation. Let me add that sanctions are an important tool, and we have used them to send a clear message to Iran about their dangerous proliferation activities aiming at the destabilization of the region. However, I think that we have to understand that sanctions alone are not a policy. Sanctions are tools of a policy. And sanctions alone cannot deter Iran. This should be evident after years and years of international sanctions. Iran is, together with North Korea, the most sanctioned country in the world. Sanctions alone cannot solve the risk of escalation, and place has to be given to diplomacy. Diplomatic action has to be equally important. I think this is a moment for diplomacy, to deploy maximum diplomatic efforts, to act to calm down the situation, and ask everybody to play its part. EU and member states were in touch with key actors because the EU keeps open channels with all sides. That's what we talked at the G7 meeting, Ministers of Foreign Affairs meeting in Capri some days ago. And as you know, I am regularly in touch with the Iranian Foreign Minister in order to stress him how deplorable are these attacks and warning that we are closer to a full regional conflict. In the past days, we also coordinated our efforts to reach out to Israel to show restraint and to Arab and Gulf countries to use their influence. We had a meeting with the ministers of the Gulf Cooperation Council in Luxembourg. I think it was on Monday night, immediately after he came to Strasbourg to share with you the debates. But this was an important occasion for the ministers of foreign affairs of the 27 and the ministers of the Gulf Cooperation Council, the states, to exchange about the situation in the Middle East. Well, the spiral of attacks and counterattacks may have slowed down. That's a very good news. But the situation remains stable, unstable, and dangerous. Finally, while we pay all the necessary attention to the Iranian attack on Israel and the risk of escalation, let's not forget what's going on in Gaza. You heard, you listen to the news, you read the news. Gaza remains at the epicenter of the regional tensions. It's the focus who is sending shock waves around the region and around the world. Gaza remains at the epicenter of the regional tension, and it will be like this as long as the war continues. And more fundamentally, that the Israel-Palestinian conflict is not resolved. So we have to be able to build peace and stability in the region, taking into account all the conflicts that are developing there, taking into account our absolute commitment for the defense and existence of Israel, but also to take into account the high human cost of the conflicts who are raging there. The European voice has to be the voice of the reason, trying to decrease the humanitarian sufferance and look for a stable peace that, from our point of view, can only be obtained through a political process that leads to a two-state solution. But this is another story. Thank you.